Outstanding job over there. He's also one of our veterans who serves us well in time of peace and war, and puts on his civilian clothes and does the right thing for us in our community. So many thanks for that one. And I thank you for your brevity. By the way, most of these things, just so you know, these are things that most of our membership have independently kind of come up with varying priorities to determine whether the hot button issues for them. And depending upon who it is, you know, some people are more impassioned about, you know, Pell, some people are more impassioned about TAP, what have you, but it's an important thing, you know, and this is not coming from out in left field anywhere. You know, these are basic survival mechanisms for students in school, even in affluent areas like ours. And by the way, I'm told this week that ours, the 89th Assembly District, is the most affluent of the 150 Assembly Districts. So, and I want to share something with you very quickly. I was having a discussion with one of my contemporaries, and I won't tell you who it is, but he's a member of my own party, and we were sort of debating in the back of the floor before things started one day about, you know, us arguing for each of our own piece of the pie. And, you know, he looked at me and he said, you know, Bob, he said, don't expect me to feel your pain. He said, when you're telling me you got to put 45 students in an art and a music class, and I can't offer math and science in my high school. So this is the dilemma we find ourselves in the upstate regions. We are many times blessed in the lower part. And while I will, because I work for all of you, fight for our slice of this pie, understand that there are obviously very realistic determinations that have to be made. But I thank you. The Honorable Tom Roach, mayor, newly elected mayor of the city of White Plains. Congratulations. The new mayor for the moment.
I feel like I should sit down on this side of the table.
Sure.
It's not my natural place.
Tom, for many of you who do not know, Tom and I ran in a race. He got to be the mayor of White Plains. He doesn't drive 120 miles to work every day. But seriously, it's an honor to work with you again. And, you know, I think he and I are both friends, so it's no secret to say, while we both recognize that while you run politically, we both serve apolitically. And we were doing that for an hour today on the phone, looking at some issues in White Plains. So it's an honor to know you and work with you again, and I consider you a friend. So
thank you.
Thank you.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank everybody for being here tonight. Assemblyman Castelli's accurate. You spoke twice on the phone today. We've spoken 2 or 3 times since I came in. He was one of the first people to call me and to take off and have a conversation. I think the phone like I put you into or something like that. But you know, I know from having been on the trail with Mr. Castelli that in many areas we agree in terms of the state. And my focus on the state budget is not so much on the cuts as it is on the mandates that the local governments are required to fund and how that impacts us. And you know, I'm going to be very brief because we've spoken before and we know the issues that we share concerns over. But you know, there are issues involving employee benefits, future of the pension system, that need to be looked at in order to allow cities to be structurally sound and municipalities to be structurally sound. I understand that there is under consideration a tier 6 on the pension plan, which, you know, I don't know how many tiers they can have, but it seems to keep going up. But that's obviously an improvement. One thing that was mentioned was, you know, in conferencing and trying to split up the pie that's rapidly getting smaller. Sometimes there's an indication, well, I should get the money because I have less. But I think there needs to be also an assessment of the municipalities and school districts that worked very hard so that they didn't find themselves in that condition. I mean, we in White Plains made severe cuts last year that were very difficult. And because of that, you know, we've managed to maintain most of our services and we're able to stabilize the tax rate. And, you know, we're looking at another tough year. But, you know, I hope that, you know, municipalities that are less cautious and find themselves in real dire straits not necessarily get all of the assistance because some of the rest of us could use it as well. I will, and I don't even know the status of this, but I will comment on my particular pet peeve of funding just a year or two ago, maybe 3 years ago, funding was proposed to study a new law school at SUNY Binghamton, at SUNY Stony Brook, at St. John Fisher in Rochester, and I think another location. And it's estimated that in the state of New York, the law schools we already have generate enough lawyers each year to satisfy the job market for 7 years. So it seems to me that if there is any continued funding or proposed funding for any of these new law schools, I would be opposed to that. I think we do have a public law school. I attended it, SUNY Buffalo. I think I realize that a lot of the institutions would love to have another law school, but I think in the type of financial situation we find ourselves in, that is certainly a luxury that we can figure out. I know it seems the schools are hit harder than the municipalities. Our aid is not really reduced that to a great extent. And that's why our concern is more focused on what we refer to as unfunded mandates, increasing pension costs and health care costs. And I will provide, Assemblyman Castelli, I will send you a note with some of the details on that. Some of the ones that I've thought of are a little less flashy than the ones that you and I discussed during our campaign. But I think there are some things that we are required to do that really don't serve much of a purpose, and really would be no skin off anyone's back if we just did away with them, and they would save us some money. So we'll be in communication, and I know we're already working together on a couple things, so I look forward to working with you on some of those. I thank everyone for coming out tonight and for being concerned about the fact that you can come out and be part of the program. Thank you.
My honor. Let me just, since the mayor was gracious enough to bring this up, I just want to interject this very quickly, because we were talking about the proposed mandate relief that we had, and the governor's plan they issued on March 1st, what the outcome of the first preliminary report for mandate relief was. And I want to stress that this is the preliminary report. It's not the be-all and end-all. But some of the things that were covered were prohibiting new unfunded mandates, requiring independent cost analysis of all mandates, enforcing limits on unfunded mandates, and if any unfunded mandates were to be had moving forward, that municipalities, individual municipalities, would have to vote them in by referendum within the individual municipality. It also addresses some cost driving, providing meaningful mandate relief, creating a Tier 6 in the pension system, which would also require more contributions by employees. We did not address the idea of going from to the defined contribution stand from defined benefit, but it's an ongoing discussion. The third part of the report addresses things like giving local governments greater flexibility to administer existing mandates and conducting a comprehensive review of all state mandates, because there are a number of mandates, as we know, coming from everywhere. There's no shortage of mandates in the state. So the mandate relief team held meetings on January 7, 19, February 14, and between the meetings, the chair and staff met with every group represented on the team. Just for your information and edification, both conferences, the Republican and Democratic conference up there, asked all their members to submit their own concerns and issues for their districts, as well as just the general information. Those were carried by the respective members into the mandate relief team and were incorporated into anything. The stuff that you hear now are simply the things that everyone had consensus on. And then they will go in ascending priorities depending upon what it is moving forward. So, the governor promised us mandate relief. I spoke to him myself, and I told him quite honestly, I said there's a lot of concern about the tax cap, and unless we have mandate relief that's meaningful that goes along with it, most people are not going to let it sail. So, and he agreed, and he indicated there would be that, and I will take the man at his word. So, moving forward.